You want me to handcuff you when your mom gets here, or you want me to handcuff you
Good plenty like a Georgia peach tree, picking sweet tweet behind the scenes, running down your knees. Water flooding me, feeling up to my teeth. I looked over to the left.
now? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Alayahttv. So today, I'm finna be telling y'all the story time of how I went to jail. So this was when I was 14 years old or 13, one of the two. First, disclaimer. Disclaimer, this video is not to bash her. I love her. We still cousins no matter what. Basically, a backstory is my cousin on my mom's side. We don't talk that much, but it's cool, whatever. But anyways, so I don't want to bash her or anything or talk bad about her or anything like that, but this was just the story of how it all came about. Starting off as a backstory, her mom called my mom one day while we was all at home, and she was telling her how she thought that she had like mental issues or whatever, and it was a whole bunch of stuff going on at their house. I don't really want to say. So anyways, basically after she called my mom, she then let her go to a mental hospital because she thought that she needed to get help. So boom, that's when she went to the mental institution, you know, and everything or whatever. So it was time for her to come out, and her mom said that she didn't want her to come back to her house. So then she called my mom and she asked her, and she was like, oh, can she come and stay with y'all? I don't want her at my house, da 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 da. So then boom, my mom was like, okay, fine, we'll see how it go. She ended up coming over to the house, and they ended up bringing her, and she stayed for like, I don't remember how long. This was like a long time ago. So she stayed for a good amount of time, and everything was good at first. So she stayed with us, and she stayed in me and my little sister's room. And she stayed with us, and she stayed in me and my little sister's room. And then as time started to pass by, one day my mom ended up I called them my little cousins, but they're not really my little cousins. They just her friends' kids. So she was watching them, and they came over to play with my little sister. They used to always come over to play. So they was all together. It's 3 of them, and then my little sister. So that make 4 kids. And then it's her. So mind you, I did not know that she was not allowed to stay by herself. She was not allowed to be with anyone that was seven years old or younger, because she could be a danger to them, and she could be a danger to herself, apparently. So anyways, so one day my mom go to the bank, and I was watching them, which I did all the time. So I was watching them, I was watching everybody, all the kids and stuff, and my mom was like, oh, I'm going to the bank, I'll be right back, whatever. So anyway, she goes to the bank. Anyways, she goes to the bank, and I'm there watching her and 4 other kids with my sister. So anyways, we all having a good time, you know, they playing, they all having a good time, and she's laying down asleep. Now mind y'all, the whole time she had this bag. I'm gonna save this for later, but she had this bag. This is just something to keep in mind. She had this bag. It was my sister's backpack that my mom had let her have, and it was in the corner. She didn't really come to our house with much because she was in the institution, so she didn't have a lot of clothes. But you know, she had a bag, and she would keep the bag by where she was sleeping at or whatever. So then one morning when my mom, the day when she said she was going to the bank and stuff this day, I woke up and my favorite thing to eat used to be Nutella. So my mom had bought me a big jar of Nutella and I didn't open it yet. So I noticed, after I noticed the bag that she had in the corner, I didn't pay that no mind. You know, I fed the kids and stuff, they was playing. And then that's when I guess she goes into the kitchen and she was whatever getting herself something to eat. That's what I thought. So I go back in the room. Now mind y'all, this story is kind of vague in my head because it was so long ago, but you know, the beginning of it, but the end part I know for real. So anyways, she go in the room and she go lay down or do whatever she doing. So I don't know how we ended up, all the, you know, rattling and stuff, the altercations came to part. I don't know how all the, you know, all that came to part at first, but all I can remember is that the kids was in the living room and I was in my room. Well, I was in my mom's room and she was in my room and my sister's room. And that's when she goes into the kitchen and she stuck her finger in my Nutella. This was like the turning point for me because she had been doing stuff previously, like, you know, wasting food or not eating it. She had been doing stuff previously, like stupid stuff that really pissed me off, but I ain't really say nothing because I'm the type of person to, like, you know, I kind of let it all boil up and then I explode. But anyway, so after she stuck her hand in my Nutella, I don't know how we got into it, but I came to her and I was like, oh, so you stuck your hand in my Nutella, da 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 da. And then she, like, we just started going. Once that happened, I noticed in my sister's closet, in my sister's dresser, there was Capri Suns and all type of stuff that was eaten and left there and stuff, and it really had pissed me off. So as I'm noticing that, I'm just steaming up more and more and more and more. So then that's when we started going at it and stuff. And then she ended up, like, she was all in my face. Now mind you, I was really skinny, like I was like 130 something pounds, and she was like, I don't know, she was tall, she was, you know, she was kind of heavy set, so she was all up in my face. But I'm going at her, I'm like, bitch, da 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 da.
Get in my face. Nobody took care of your ass but me. I'm ready to get the fuck ASAP.
And so that's when you know, I'm getting real upset and I'm looking for my mama's knife. Like, I'm looking in the room. Well, I get real upset and I'm looking for my mom's. But anyways, I get real upset and I'm going in my mom's room and I'm looking for a knife. Like, I'm getting mad and we all up in each other's face while the kid's still right there. And anyway, so once that happened, we going at it. So I was so mad, like I think a little knife or whatever at her, and I was like all up in her face and I was like pressing the knife up in her head. I was like, oh bitch, da 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 da, like I don't know what I was saying. So I got so mad I went to the next door neighbor, which was a bad thing to do. I go to the next door neighbor's house, and mind y'all, the way that the door works, where when I was living with my mom, is she had it to where you could only unlock it with a key from the inside and the outside. So the key was in the inside while the kids was in there and she was in there with them. So I went next door to get help. Anyway, so she comes, so I go to the girl's house next door, like we knew her and her daughter. So I went over to the lady's house, the girl's house, and I was like, oh, da 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 da, this and that going on. So she was like, oh, because she was friends with my granddad's daughter. She was friends with my auntie. So she was like, oh, I'm finna call your granddad and he finna come over here I'm gonna tell him what's going on. So she calling him, telling him so he come over because she can't get a hold of my mom. Like, I'm calling my mom, she calling my mom, my granddad calling my mom. She couldn't get a hold of my mom. Nobody could get a hold of my mom. So I just end up staying over there. She was like, oh, stay over here. We're gonna call your granddad and see what's going on. He gonna come over here. So my granddad get here. And mind you now, she's still in the house with these kids. And she still had whatever weapons that she had, which she wasn't doing anything to them, but she was mad herself. But anyways, that's not the point. She wasn't supposed to be with these kids because she was in the psychotic place. No offense to anybody that has happened to them, but I'm just saying, she wasn't supposed to be in that house with them left alone. So my granddad get over and he asking me what happened. So I'm telling him, and then he saw the knife and he was like, you know you're gonna have to go to jail, right? I was like, what? He was like, you know you're gonna have to go to jail. They gonna see this knife and stuff. They gonna know what happened and y'all was fighting and stuff. You gonna have to go to jail. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Not really taking it into consideration. Like, I'm just mad and I'm not thinking about it. So all this time, nobody could get a hold of my auntie. And he was like, we gonna have to call the police. So he called the police. This is when he called my grandmother. Now, this is my grandmother on my mom's side. So she was living like 2 hours away from where we were, like an hour and 30 minutes away from where we was living. So as time passed by, nobody could still get a hold of my mom. And she, you know, he called my grandma, tell her what's happening. And my grandma like, oh Lord, like she calling, coming down. So her and my other granddaddy, they coming down and they driving. And so, I don't know, it just ended up to where like, I don't think he tried to go back over there and talk to her in the house because it was still locked. So she was still in the house with the kids and I was still over here. So he called the cops because he couldn't get a hold of my mom, let alone my grandma was so far. So anyways, fast forward to when the cops come. So when the cops come, he's talking to me, he's asking me what's happening. So he pulled her out of the house and they knocked on the door. They found out that the kids was in there. And he basically asked me what had happened and what was going on. So I told him and he was like, well, you know you're gonna have to go to jail, right? And I was like, yeah, like no feelings at all because nothing had came down on me like of me even thinking about what I was doing in this situation, let alone with the kids. So boom, that's when he told me that. So he was like, well, you want me to handcuff you when your mom gets here or you want me to handcuff you now? Like, oh, you need to wait till my mom get here. So then, mind you, the other officer, she was talking to her and asking her story. And then she asked one of the kids because my cousin, my little cousin, he was like 6 or 7, I believe, which they wasn't supposed to be asking him without his mama being there or whatever, but she still asked him and he witnessed it. And basically he was the reason why we even went there because he said he saw all of this. So mind you, when all of this was happening, I didn't hear any of the kids. You know, I thought they was playing. Like, I didn't even pay attention to the fact that the kids is here and to the fact that, you know, I'm supposed to be watching them or whatever. So, you know, that was bad on my part. But anyways, so after they questioned her, the lady, she had already like handcuffed her and she put her in the car. And then the man, like my mom, she still never came. Like my auntie came, my grandma and my granddad came, like, they all just showed up. And then my other granddaddy, he was there. So the cop was like, well, since your mom is not here, we're gonna have to go ahead and take you in now. You could call her later. And I was like, okay. So I put my hands behind my back, and he put me in the cop car. So we just sitting there waiting because they still waiting on my mom. Now, this is the part where it gets juicy. So then, boom, my grandma was out there, my granddad, my other granddad, and then my auntie. So, and then also the girl that lived next door, and then the kid's mom had came because they told them that they had to come pick them up. So my mom's friend, she came, she had to ask somebody to drive her there, and she came and picked the kids up because my mom had her car. So then, boom, my mama somebody finally got a hold of my mama, and then she said that her phone was in the sun, so it had deaded her battery out. So anyways, y'all, that's when she pulls up. And when she pull up, she come riding in that bitch, riding in our complex like she in a fucking spaceship, because she was so mad, y'all. Like, she was so freaking mad. And when my mom get mad, can't nobody calm her down but my granddad. So she ride up in the complex, and I'm sitting in the cop car, me and my cousin. So she ride up in the complex, she come up, jump out of the car. Like, I don't even think she put the car in park like so quick, or did she pull up? I don't even know if she pulled up the emergency brake, but she rolled up like she was in a spaceship or something. And then she jumped out. She was like, where that bitch at? And so everybody was like, it was like, calm down, calm down, calm down. That's when she was like, nah, where this bitch at? Da 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 da. Like, oh, she better be out my motherfucking house. Blah 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 blah. So that's what they was like. She not in the house. She not in the house. Like, you have to calm down. We gonna have to. The man was like, the officer was like, ma'am, you're gonna have to calm down, or we're gonna take you to. So my granddad, he ended up calming her down, and, you know, my grandma and stuff. So now it's time for us to leave and actually go to the jail. So boom, we get to the jail, and, you know, you have to do, like, I guess they call it booking or whatever it is, but we get to the jail, and we had to go inside. And, you know, I ain't never been there before. So we get to the jail, and then, like, we was in separate cars because they was like, oh, we got to be in separate cars. So anyways, we get to the jail, we get inside. So they taking my picture and, you know, doing the little fingerprints and all that other stuff like that. So it still didn't really hit me, even though it was juvie. But where I'm from, they call it the tent. So anyways, so we there, and they doing all the other stuff. And then that's when a whole group of, like, all these boys from a different juvenile detention center came inside, and it was like a whole bunch of boys. And mind y'all, I literally had on a tank top, I think a green tank top, and some booty shorts, because I ain't really think about it. I'm going to jail, so whatever. So I put that on, and then we in there, and they taking my picture and my fingerprints and stuff. And then the lady, she was like, you hungry? You want a sandwich? I was like, no. I ain't finna eat here. I ain't even finna stay here. I'm leaving. What y'all talking about? So she was like, all right, you gonna be hungry. So then one of the guards, we was sitting there waiting for, like, I don't know, some time. Like, we was sitting there waiting for some time. So then the boys had came in. Everybody was all, like, looking at me and stuff. You know, not to be, like, full of myself, but that's what happened. Like, they was all looking at me. So boom, she was like, oh no, you gonna have to go change. We're gonna have to get you changed because we can't have this much disruption, because they was all like laughing and you know, they was coming there for a court date. So boom, that's when she had took me to the room. She didn't really make me change my clothes, but she made me put on some baggy, dirty, stank, stupid jail clothes. But anyways, so that's when I saw her, and she was sitting there. You know, when everybody come in, they ask you like, oh, what you doing? How you got here? What you here for? And she like, oh, I beat that bitch up. I beat my cut. Oh, no, she like, oh, I beat that bitch up. I beat her up. She had a knife. She didn't even want to do shit. Like, she talking shit. So, mind you, now all this time passed by, and I ended up having to walk with the lady guard, because when I was sitting inside of the thing and I was talking to the girl, when I was talking to the lady, they was finna put me on house arrest or whatever, and, you know, figure out the charges of like what I did. So anyways, she had basically, like, when I was talking to the lady about, you know, the break, the lady was talking to me. I wasn't really paying attention to the lady. I'm sitting over here, like, I'm sitting in a chair, and this girl like, oh yeah, I beat her ass, she had a knife and all this other stuff. Like, she was talking shit. So I said something back, and then the lady, the guard, she was like, whoa, y'all need to calm down. She was like, y'all two gotta be separated. And so the lady, she pulled me from talking to the other lady, and she was like, man, you gonna take a walk around. And so me and her was walking around, and it was like no girls in there. It was all boys. All they was eating. And then we went inside of this other thing. Like, she showed me where they lived, and she showed me where the girls was living. She was like, oh, this where you gonna be sleeping at? I'm like, who? Not me. I'm like, can I call my mama? So she was like, yeah, you could call your mom. Like, she was being real nice to me. So I called my mom. I'm like, mama, please, mama, is you gonna come get me? She like, yeah, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming, baby. Now, mind y'all, normally my mama is the type of mama, she do not play. She do not play. She don't condone fighting in school. She don't condone nothing. Like, so many times she don't stop me from fighting people. And if I even get in trouble at school or got a C, like, my mama did not play. I'll be on punishment quick. But this time, she was really on my side, because she know I didn't do nothing wrong. She know I didn't do nothing wrong. So she was like, she, you know, she wanted to fuck her up instead of me, which I was like, fuck with. I'm like, mama, please come get me. Like, I'm telling her on the phone, like, mama, can you please come get me? I'm ready to get out of here. I ain't do nothing wrong. I was trying to protect the kids, blah, 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 blah. And so my mom was like, yeah, baby, I'll be there in a minute. I'll be there in a minute. So anyways, she came, my grandma came, and my auntie, she went back to work. So my grandparents came and my mom came. And that's when some man, he was like, oh, who called a parent? I was like, me? He was like, oh, you don't call your parents to come and get you out of here. You get out when I say you get out. I was like, please. So my mama came, and she was still there. She was waiting. They was waiting for me. And the lady ended up letting me out, but she said that I couldn't, like, I had the time frame when I had to be in the house, blah, 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 blah. But it was the court date the next morning. Now, this the shit that takes the cake. So we go to the courthouse. Oh, they don't put jail. Oh, that bitch, blah, 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 like talking shit about my cousin. So that's when we went to the courthouse, and we seen the judge, but you know, at first we had to wait for everybody else. So we finally get to talk to the judge, and it's my turn to go up. So we go up there, and my mom, she's a person big on not messing up my record, not you know, getting into trouble and stuff. Like, she didn't play none of that shit. So my mom up there like, already begging and pleading like in her head to the judge about getting this off of my record, which wasn't even on my record at first. It was only a day. But anyways, she ended up talking to the judge, and the judge was like, oh, he called me up and basically reading off the charge, and he was telling me about house arrest and stuff like that. And my mom's like, well, sir, my daughter, she's never had a referral at school. She has good grades. She's never did this. This is because blah, 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 blah. And he was like, ma'am, we don't need you to explain nothing. My mom's like, sir, please, this girl is blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't want my daughter to do this. I don't want my daughter to, you know, have this on her record. She need to get this off her record. And like saying up all this stuff to the judge. And that's when basically the judge, he was like, okay, we'll drop everything. She don't have to have no curfew. She won't have to be on house arrest. Since she said she's never had a referral, she's never been in trouble before, you know, everything is good. Boom. So you thought that was over? Boom. So after that, we get to the house, and it's the day DCF calls my mom because she ended up staying the night at the jail. I didn't stay the night at the jail. Preferably because she already had stuff previously on her record. And she done previous things like, I mean, just a couple weeks beforehand, before she even got to us with her mom. So, boom, that's when that's when the next day, like, DCF called my mom because her mom said she didn't want her to come back and live with her. So DCF called my mom, and they was like, oh, we need to come pick up this thing. She left some things and she want to come back and pick it up. Now, I remember in the beginning, I told y'all to remember my little sister's bag that we gave her. So anyways, we go in the room, and my mom's like, oh, she ain't leave nothing here. She ain't got nothing here. She was telling people that, and he was like, no, like, oh, my stuff, da-da-da-da-da. We ain't even look in the bag. So this is when we came from court. We ended up looking in the bag, and it was all of my brand new school clothes that I had got from my grandma. She bought them for me, and I had brought them back because school was about to start. These was my brand new clothes. So this girl had all of my brand new clothes, my earrings, my shoes. I mean, she done put as much stuff as she could in the little bag, like it was gonna be hers, like she was gonna steal my stuff. I didn't pay attention, but it was like a few things left in the closet. So basically, she tried to steal my stuff. She never got it. So y'all, basically, no harm done in this story time again, cause we cool, everything good. We forgave each other, but she never came back to my house cause I wasn't putting up with that shit, and my mom wasn't putting up with that shit. So, you know, everything good now. That was the time that I got arrested and went to jail. So y'all, please be sure to put some in the comments and let me know how y'all like this video. This is my first story time. I got shitload of more story times, lots more story times to come out with, and stuff to talk about that I want to talk about on my channel. Yeah, so I just want to be transparent, and I'll release the things that I want to release, and I'll talk about what I want to talk about. But this was the first story time, and this was the first thing that I wanted to talk about first, to get off my chest, like a little therapy session. But y'all be sure to like follow me. It's gonna be on the screen on all my social medias, and I'm gonna try to be more active on. So thank y'all for watching, and be out with more videos. Make sure y'all subscribe and hit the bell so y'all can know every time I post. And that's it.